The 2024 appropriation has been themed Budget of Renewed Hope. The proposed budget seeks to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhanced human capital development, as well as poverty reduction and greater access to social security. Defense and internal security are recorded top priority. The internal security architecture will be overhauled to enhance law enforcement capabilities and safeguard lives, property, and investment across the country. Human capital is the most critical resource of national development. Accordingly, the budget prioritizes human development with particular attention to children, the foundation of our nation. To improve the effectiveness of our budget performance, government will focus on ensuring value for money, greater transparency, and accountability. In this regard, we will work more closely with development partners and the private sector to address long-standing issues in education. A more sustainable model of funding tertiary education will be implemented, including the student loan scheme planned to become operational by January 2024.
The presentation of the 27.5 trillion naira appropriation bill by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu continues to evoke varied reactions. Lawmakers across diverse political parties and geopolitical zones have responded to the budget, shedding light on what their constituents should anticipate from the 2024 budget.
We need to acknowledge the specific achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration so far. Those who doubted him initially forgot his track record as the governor of Lagos State from 1999 to the year 2007. And Lagos, of course, is Nigeria's melting pot. Nigerians strongly believe that with the debt profile of the day today, that we are the man for the job to fix our economy. Already we have seen significant economic reforms, starting with the courageous removal of the petroleum subsidy, which has become an albatross to our nation. They have taken the right steps to unify the multiple foreign exchange markets.
In view of this and the related challenge of high level of public debt, the National Assembly will ensure that the 2024 budget includes concrete strategies for sustainable debt management, including measures to increase revenue and control expenditure. Specifically, the focus should be on raising more revenue through tax reform, fiscal reform, subsidy reform, foreign exchange convergence, and centralized revenue collection. In our recent engagement with MDAs on the MTEF, we emphasized the need for revenue-generating agencies to double their targets to meet the 18 trillion revenue projected in the budget. Mr. President, the effectiveness and legitimacy of fiscal policies depend to a very large extent on public support. As the People's House, and in line with our legislative agenda, the House of Representatives will convene the first national citizens budget town hall to harness public input and opinion on this budget. We are convinced that this will increase transparency and accountability, improve policy making, and increase trust in government. Public participation in the budgetary process has been shown to improve resource allocation and service delivery, as well as a more stable and robust economy.
Obviously, as it was announced by the President and Commander-in-Chief, it is a budget of renewed hope. We are at a time when we need to deal with a lot of issues, which include having to spend our way out of recession. One of the happy things about this budget is that it's a budget that is ensuring that more allocation is given to capital expenditure, more than what the situation had been in the past. Are we there yet? The question is, the answer is no. It is not yet uhuru. We're still looking forward to a situation where in our budgetary allocation we'll be able to allocate much more to capital expenditure, than in the recurrent. But at least what we have is a significant improvement on what used to be the order of the day.
The president did today, I think he has rekindled hope for Nigerians, because we have never had it so good in the budget presentation where the capital expenditure has been risen to about 8 trillion. And you can see the deficit and debt servicing, though the deficit have increased, but the debt servicing have reduced. And we are also looking at the position of making the dollar about 750 instead of 700, which means we are going to get more revenue from that. And also the crude oil price, you can see it has been increased based on international pricing.
Reassuring in the sense that the philosophical cornerstone of the budget is centered around the issue of security, job creation, and diversification of the economy away from oil to agriculture and exploitation of solid minerals that has remained unexplored and unexploited in the country. The issue of security, our constitution is very clear and unambiguous to the effect that the primary duty of government is to provide security for the peace, order, and good governance of the country. This budget centers around providing enough resources to the security sector with a view to fulfilling the social contract that the Nigerian people have with the government in order to guarantee the peace, order, and good governance of the country. Then the issue of diversification of the economy away from oil to agriculture. There is a need for us to diversify our economy to have other sources of revenue, especially exploitation of our vast resources of solid minerals that has remained unexploited. Then the issue of diversification to agriculture for the purpose of job creation, and then the multiplier effect of bringing about food security, earning the much needed revenue to deploy for much needed infrastructure needs and what have you. Then job creation is also very important in order to meaningfully engage our youth to have something doing in order to avert the ugly scenario, or nip in the bud, the ugly scenario of insecurity that is brought about as a result of lack of job for the youths.
Mr. President, and I think I leverage on the statement he made that this is a renewed hope budget. We are renewing the hope of Nigerians to believe in the institutions, to believe in the leadership, to believe in what is good for Nigeria. So definitely I think it is quite, there will be some shift from the traditional way of budget implementation. I see positive developments. Well, it is a laudable budget full of good programs that will bring out the best out of the economic situation Nigeria is facing. And I think looking at the trajectory of the indices in the budget, I think it is quite achievable.
As he promised that he's going to really implement the budget 100%, the president himself assured the Nigerian people that he's going to ensure the performance of the budget has been passed by the National Assembly. That it is a realistic budget. It is a budget that has addressed virtually all the gaps we saw in 2023 budget. It is a budget that, if well implemented and well funded, will be able to address some of the issues that are agitating our mind as a country. But the most important aspect of this budget is that the debt profile has reduced to about 8.something trillion. Much as I know that government will still require to borrow money to fund the budget. But the profile, the government estimate for revenue generation is increasing. So I believe that the funding government will borrow will not be as much as they are expecting. Because the non-debt of this budget is about 9.something trillion, while the capital expenditure is about 8.something trillion. So I believe that this government, this particular budget, will do well because this budget is looking at the critical infrastructure. And government is saying that government alone cannot develop our infrastructure. So this government is partnering with the private sector on how to develop the critical infrastructure. This government is looking at the vulnerable persons in our society to provide funding for about 20 million Nigerian homes. This government is also looking at youth unemployment. So you can see that all these things put together, if it is properly implemented, will address all the problems that we are trying to solve as a nation.
Okay. Yeah, looking at where we are coming from, it looks promising and to some extent fulfilling if everything, all the I's will be dotted and the T's be crossed. But for me, we should go beyond this. Nigeria has all the potentials to go for a budget of 30, 50 trillion naira because that will pose much more challenge to us. If all loopholes will be covered and revenues will be generated as much at par with the capacity and the endowment Nigeria has, which is...
I'm Right Honorable Pascal Abodike, PhD. I represent here the Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State, a member of APGA, APGA. Today, we can say that we are impressed. Nigerians are impressed, seeing the way and manner the President presented the 2024 budget to the National Assembly, the joint section. The next is for us, the legislature, to do the needful. Going by the speech of our speaker, he said we shall conduct a town hall meeting where Nigerians shall come and make their own contributions and say how they want the budget to go. We are making this budget for the interest of Nigerians, and I believe anything we shall pass shall be what represents the interest of Nigerians.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank the President for presenting this wonderful budget that he tags a budget of hope. And we hope that this project will touch and have impact in the life of our people. If you look at the state that Nigeria is right now, there's no way we can move forward without borrowing. We have to borrow in order for the government to be able to fund some of the critical projects, according to him, that he's talking about, that go to impact the life of our people. So we have to borrow in order for us to achieve the purpose of the budget.
Yes, definitely. The 10th Assembly, our major reason for being here is to make sure that we oversight on the executive. And that is part of the implementation, because we want to oversight and make sure that those things that have been proposed and have been handled must be done appropriately. And the more oversight we do, the more serious we are in oversight is what will bring up the budget implementation in an effective manner. So I believe that with the leadership of Tajudeen Abbas, he's a very prudent person. He's somebody that is ready to work for Nigerians. I see the House being very different. So I believe that the budget will be properly implemented and will achieve the ultimate goal. But I'll still talk a little on the insecurity issue, because it is a problem to Nigerians. I always believe that the insecurity challenge in Nigeria cannot just be handled with the funds for the budget. No matter how much you give to the security agents to handle insecurity, they have a limitation. The major problem, the root cause of insecurity, is the failure of the third-tier government. The non-existence of local government in this country is what is happening. The autonomy of the local government has to be restored.